Hey guys, welcome back to the show. It's the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and last part we examined the cabin in which Kazuma was found dead, unfortunately, and we're trying to clear our name. And while examining the cabin, we met Mr. Mr. Sholmes, of course. And now we're supposed to talk to him about some topics, apparently here. So let's not lose any time and just get right into it. Ask him why he's such a great detective. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again?
Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, I see. You're German? Herlock? Was it?
Oh, no, I have no hair. I have hair. Please call me Holmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication.
Oh yes, Rand's magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England specially.
Yes, here it is, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories, then?
Indeed I am.
And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective.
Make no mistake, I'm not the poor, deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward.
Backward?
My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine.
You have a biographer, do you?
Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London.
Dr. Wilson?
I must say, thanks to the publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Why, this very moment I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown.
Really, I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not.
Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form.
A science?
Really?
The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of muzzle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin, all these things are data.
Right.
And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth.
As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can you look me in the eye and claim that?
So you see, I have a turn both for observation and for deduction, and fame. That is what makes me the one and only Sherlock Holmes.
Okay. Sure. Alright, so let's talk about Kazuma's death, I think. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet?
Have I managed to deduce anything? My dear fellow. Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him.
When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin door open.
And I conceived myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective Sherlock Holmes was on board. And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me.
Oh, really? Two facts, you say? Okay. Let's ask about the two facts. Let's keep the order. Two facts. Mr. Sholmes, tell us please, two facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning.
Ah, yes. But first, let us be precise.
The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they?
Allow me to elucidate.
The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows.
Number 1, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number 2, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance.
Hold on, Mr. Sholmes, what made you think the victim was Russian?
Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor.
Garderobe. That is Russian for wardrobe. I'm not able to read Cyrillic. I think this is garderobe, but I'm not sure, guys.
Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian?
In their final moments, many find the native tongue filling their head for this young man, Russian.
Kazuma was Russian? Was he?
Initially, I considered garderobe.
It is garderobe.
Maybe the name of the killer. A certain Robert Guard, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least.
Where you found Mr. Naruto sleeping soundly?
Quite so, I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer.
Why is it that I'm Russian too?
I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people.
All school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea.
And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong.
I took a photograph of the victim and the message that I might analyze it for possible hidden details.
This was taken immediately after...
This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered before the body was removed.
Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this.
Are you alright, Mr. Naruto?
Yes. Thank you. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. Crime scene photograph, the Russian word for wardrobe in purple ink. It would appear to have been written in the victim's final moments. I doubt that. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes?
What, pray?
You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all of that?
Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth.
Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Correcto. Connecto? I have no clue, sorry.
Certainly if it interests you.
How many times I'm not Russian and I don't speak Russian? Okay, so your deduction just now. Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean?
Ah, the now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in.
Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part?
Ah, yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads: Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered.
Then when was Kazuma a Russian?
It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor.
It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you. Why, villain Bolshevik?
No, how could it be me? I don't look anything like this man, just look at his face.
Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all.
Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize Europeans as well. Please.
And I might add, your name doesn't appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more?
Well, that's because I'm a stowaway.
What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower.
Ah, yes, the journals clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far, and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was concluded. There can be no mistake.
Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters? I wonder.
And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan?
Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik is recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan.
Where even is it, anyway? This Afghanistan place?
Here, take the paper for yourself, as a little memento of this great deduction.
Thank you.
I've absorbed all of this. All of that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby.
The article about the revolutionary has been entered into court record. Article about revolutionary, an article on the front page of Russian newspaper. The headline reads, "The revolutionary violent Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai."
And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well.
On the back? Oh, okay, we're gonna check that out in a minute.
Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret.
It's all written in Russian, I couldn't hope to read it. But I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article, maybe there might be a picture too? Alright, let's finish the dialogue with Mr. Sholmes. What you were just investigating. Let's go. Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you?
Kazuma? Ah, yes, the victim.
Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all?
Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text.
London diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. But I don't think you should read this private writings. It could upset people.
Tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading.
You mean you've read it already?
It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese.
Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. Susato-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns?
I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean?
Life is so unfair.
Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to details.
But I thought you knew Japanese.
A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, mikado. Nado nado, I trust you're suitable impressed. But this diary is littered too, with complicated looking characters of which I can read precisely none.
So it was all that showing off about before then?
If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes.
I'm much obliged, my dear madame.
The final entry in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just 2 short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound.
A whistling sound?
These are very deep waters. Pray, go on.
The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before.
The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin.
Yes, the adjoining cabin. Kazuma's diary has been entered into the court record. Kazuma's diary, a diary Kazuma was keeping of his trip to London. According to the last entry made before his death, he spied what appeared to be a speckled band. Alright, so we talked to Mr. Sholmes.
So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being at last.
Do you have somewhere to go?
As it happens, the victim's writing in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe. And if I'm still too long, the seasickness takes hold.
Oh, I suppose. You're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to.
Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at the stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence the truth will become clear soon enough.
Do you think perhaps that we could go with you?
No, that would be somewhat complicated.
What? But why?
A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer.
Oh, these.
After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. No?
There's no point in trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place.
Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point.
You must be joking! You just said it only a moment ago.
Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing.
Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too.
You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know. Not really?
So what, were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are.
Well, anyway, that was then, and this is now.
What do you mean?
What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate.
Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor's twisted as his name.
Naruto-san, what are you just standing there for? We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well.
Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way.
Hiya!
after Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? Ugh. As if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this, and bring the real culprit to justice. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? Oh, no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir?
Yes? What can I do for you? Ah, look who it is.
I recognize that face, but it can't be. It is! I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga.
Hello again.
What are you doing here?
I think that should be my line.
I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped. Nearly stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship.
Again?
You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation.
Alright, so let's talk to him. Special orders.
So what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. Huh? This is all my fault. I take full responsibility.
For what?
My orders were to act as Asogi-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jikoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated.
Assassinated? How could that even have been possible?
I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated. Obviously, we couldn't give Asogi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector! So if there's anything at all that I can do to help now, just say the word.
Alright, so we're just gonna ask for permission to investigate?
We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not! We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you moved to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now, they think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with? Do you think I'm going to need something persuasive? What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how. There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruto-san. By presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you are in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Osunaga could use. So, evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin. Alright, yes, I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. That must be... Can we just present here? I don't really... Oh, we also can have a look at people, but we're gonna do that later. I'm going to look at stuff for a second here, because we haven't done that yet. Can't find anything out of place. Okay. So let's look at the photo. I'm afraid I can't read a word of Russian. No, me neither. I have no idea what any of this says.
The pair of you floundering is a sorry sight. Allow me to offer some assistance. The article on the front page of this newspaper is concerned with a fearsome Russian revolutionary. It reads, Revolutionary violent Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai.
Yes, you told us that before.
It reveals also that those who see the man's beard with their own eyes never live to tell the tale.
Oh my goodness, he is fearsome. Well, presumably the newspaper photographer was alright, wasn't he?
The solution is obvious, of course. If he despises his beard to that degree, he needs only shave it off.
I'm not quite sure that's the problem, Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes. He's quite the character. Okay, so who are you? This is interesting. Have you found something irrelevant, Naruto-san? Well, no, I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I, but look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a youthful young Russian princess, do you think? She's very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it.
Ah, I'm glad you've noticed this article.
Oh!
Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents.
Oh, thank you. He pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. That's true.
It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Nolovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova.
Why are Russian names so hard to remember?
It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room. Wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles.
Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money. Susato-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves.
The tiara is the property of the Nolovich Ballet.
It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised.
The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain.
Could this be another case of Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. The article about the ballerina has been entered into the court record. An article on the back page of Russian newspaper. The headline reads, "Non-permanent ballerina dispute from Shanghai." Okay. And I think Mr. Sholmes mentioned there was something else on the back that might be of interest, but it doesn't seem that way. So let's turn the page around once again and check for other stuff that might be of interest. Okay, there is nothing. So, what about Kazuma's diary? Can he have... Okay, we already read that. Ventilator grill. And this is the article about ballerina. How do I present? Okay, so this doesn't... we really need permission to go into the cabin next door so we can investigate in there. I'm sorry, like I said, we need to give the captain a compelling reason. Right. A reason why it's so important that we are allowed to investigate the next door cabin. Exactly. There's only one way to do that. It's very similar to the situation we had before with Naruto-san. You need to present some evidence to the detective. Alright, I understand. Present some evidence. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. I'd love to, but... Court records? Why can't I present? Okay, this is... Ah, there. Okay, I'm so stupid. Okay, so it must be this because it states from the ventilator grill. And that is the only thing that makes sense. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that, but what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins the next door cabin. That's right, so if we could investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the spectacle band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just select move and we can leave this cabin at last. Move? Alright, let's see what we can find out. Alright, so we can finally move. Let's see. Yes, we can go to the first class passageway. The very first time we can move in this game.
But we already reached the half hour mark. We actually have a lot more than just half an hour recorded already. So this is it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for joining, and see you on the next episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles.